And we go to the border now, where it has been nearly a week since a pandemic-era policy, Title 42, limiting asylum seekers, expired. Title 42 made it easier to remove migrants from U.S. soil. So how have things been going since then? To help answer that question, I'm joined this morning by Suzanne Monyak. She is an immigration reporter at CQ Roll Call. Suzanne, welcome back and good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So we are seeing numbers down, from what I understand, but that was after numbers were way up before the expiration. I feel like we kind of got this backwards. Instead of seeing a giant rise, it seems like we're seeing a moderate drop.
That's correct. We actually saw a pretty significant increase in migration in the 3 days leading up to the end of Title 42. We saw on average over 10,000 crossings per day. But then in the 3 days after the end of Title 42, we saw, according to Department of Homeland Security officials, a roughly 50% drop with averages of daily crossings under 5,000. So it would appear that perhaps so far fears that the end of Title 42 would usher in the significant spike in migration may have been overblown, though the Department of Homeland Security does emphasize that this data is very preliminary, it's still really early, and it's too soon to draw any firm conclusions about the impact of the end of the Title 42 rule.
So no firm conclusions, I get that. But what about some not firm conclusions? Do we have any idea why this might be happening?
Well, critics of Title 42 have always said that they feel that in a way it draws crossings because it allows border agents to rapidly expel migrants without a hearing. So this, essentially gives them the power to remove them from the country much faster and without a lot of process. But it also means that there aren't legal consequences. There is no repercussion to making multiple attempts to cross. And so we would see much higher numbers of total encounters because we would see repeat crossers, people making multiple attempts because there was no legal reason not to. Now, with the reinstatement of regular asylum processing, we are seeing those legal consequences reinstated. Though it is a longer process, slightly longer, to deport now formally people from the country if they don't qualify for protection. It means that they will have a formal deportation order, and this comes with a 5-year entry ban to the U.S. and other consequences. Wow. So while yes, too early to draw a firm conclusion, I think one thing to watch is whether the reinstatement of those formal legal consequences could, in fact, be something that deters crossings.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they don't really take surveys after they deport people. But I do wonder about Title 42 versus Title 8, because we've been talking about Title 42 for years. And I do this job. I feel like it's just in the last week or two that I started hearing about Title 8 and how it can be used to enforce border security as well. So can you explain what it is, how it's being used, and most importantly, I think, why we're just hearing about it, or maybe why I'm just hearing about it?
Title 8 processing is regular asylum processing, and that is what was in place for years prior to the end of Title 42, prior to the implementation, I should say, of Title 42 in March of 2020. And Title 8 processing allows for expedited removal, which is a process by which individuals could make a claim for protection at the border. And if they pass an initial fear screening, they could then be referred to regular asylum proceedings. If they don't clear that initial fear screening, they could then be deported expeditiously without a full immigration court process. And that is how things have worked at the border for years and years. Now, of course, that it's been over 3 years since Title 8 was in place, there's certainly going to create a little bit of a learning curve for people, on the ground who haven't maybe been, implementing these processes in years, or maybe ever if they, joined this work, in the last 3 years. But I think that, you say you haven't heard much about it. It's just really a testament to how long this pandemic era policy, which was always intended to be temporary, has been in place.
And so Title 8 is just the way things are supposed to be. I think I get kind of what Republicans say, where they say the Biden administration et al. Needs to enforce the law down there. Is it that simple? There's a law on the books. Just go use it to the best of your ability.
Well, Republicans were generally supportive of continuing Title 42. They were not looking to have a reinstatement of Title 8. But yes, Title 8 are the asylum procedures that the agency had been using prior to the end of Title 42. Of course, we have seen some new procedures that the Biden administration has put in place since the end of the Title 42 policy, including one pretty significant policy that would make it a lot harder for migrants to qualify for asylum if they transited through another country en route to the U.S.-Mexico border and did not first try to seek protection there. That's something that advocates have been pretty upset about, and there's already been a lawsuit. And so while, yes, this is a return to pre-Title 42 processing in some respects, in a lot of other respects, there are a lot of new procedures in place.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation in your cable lineup. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-based, unbiased coverage.